Hey everyone, in today's video I decided to cook again. Instead of crafting, this time I decided to combine two things of my brother's favorites, namely cheesecake and Kinder chocolates. Anything chocolate is like an immediate hit with him, so I was pretty confident, and you know what, I'm really proud of what I made, so let's go to that video. Oh, and of course I'm also gonna read stories, of course. The first story is called Growls of a Dead Woman. This was an occurrence that kindled my interest in ghosts and other supernatural things. It was in the winter of 2016, and I was excited about visiting Croc, also called Mattica, for my cousin's wedding. It's a small town located at a distance of 110 kilometers from Missouri and Karnataka, whose people mainly depended on coffee plantations and spices for their income. The day started as we had planned, with my uncle's family joining us on the trip with my 16-year-old me, hoping to have the time of my life in the next 4 days. Enough of the intro, let's dive into the story. We reached our destination around 10 p.m. and despite the warnings from the elderly in our family, we had requested our cousin's ancestral home, which was located in the middle of their coffee plantation, for our stay. This place had an eerie past. There were quite a few tales about the plantation worker who committed suicide near the house in her hut due to her partner's infidelity, leaving her newborn baby. During her death ceremony, the people present in the house were rattled by the screams of her baby, and when they rushed into her hut to check what was happening, they saw a black shadow figure sitting and crying near the baby. The figure disappeared once they arrived, and the baby had apparently stopped its cries when the shadow figure disappeared. My family, being firm non-believers of the supernatural entities, heeded no attention to their warnings and insisted on staying at the house. The house had enough space to accommodate us, as it had 3 bedrooms and a big hall. After discussions on where and how we all slept, I was asked to sleep on the couch in the hall, which I obliged. But little did I know that what was about to happen later that night. The clock ticked 12 a.m. and I was still rolling from one side to another to find a comfortable position to doze off after a tiring 10-hour journey I had that day. The couch was too cramped for my 5'10" frame, and to my surprise, my aunt, who was lying in the couch next to me, was also not asleep. This was a pleasant surprise for me, as I already spooked by the stories I had earlier heard about the place, and her being awake meant I didn't need to be alone. We started speaking on general stuff, and in no time the clock chimed. At the time it was 12:30 already. It was at this point I heard the growling sound of a woman, and a sound seemed to be coming from somewhere far away. It was just a constant growling with no apparent words, and just the thought of that sound gives me the chills down my spine even now. At first I thought it was just an hallucination, but looking at the pale face of my aunt, I figured out I was not the only one hearing the sound. Our chit-chat stopped, and we were keenly focusing on what the sound was and where it was coming from. The sound stopped after 10 odd minutes, and the relief was pretty clear on our faces. We smiled at each other, only to hear the sound again, but this time even closer and louder than before. We were dumbstruck, not knowing what to do, and shut our eyes in fear. The sound kept coming nearer and nearer, and it stopped once again. Hoping whatever was making the sound had left, I opened my eyes only to hear it again, right now above me, from the terrace of the house. The growling slowly moved from the terrace to the bedroom on my right, and then near the house door. There was a transparent glass window covered with a screen near the door, through which I was able to see a shadow of a woman-like figure. I looked at the glaring eyes of my aunt, which were now filled with tears of fright, and as the sound stopped once again, we both hoped for the emotional torture that we were facing to end. There was a power failure, and the night lamp that was glowing until then stopped glowing, filling the room with darkness. In that dimness I heard the growl right next to my head. That was the last thing I remembered when I woke up the next day, wishing it was nothing but a nightmare. I went and spoke to my aunt, who confirmed that was not a nightmare, but something that happened for real. No one from my family believed us when we explained what happened that night before, except for my grandmother. So this was the story. I hope you guys liked the video and liked the story. Until next time, bye bye!